Welcome to another video of the Alalibo Academy. In this video, we're looking at the two African countries. Yes, two African countries that were never colonized by any foreign power. Never colonized. Out of 54 countries, these two countries were never colonized. And this is very interesting because we want to know how they did it. Was it by sheer stroke of luck, or was it by resistance? What was it that exempted these two countries from colonization? Now, we go back to the Berlin Conference of 1884 and 1885, where European powers gathered in Berlin, Germany, to determine the fate of the continent in terms of colonization. And they divided the continent and went in and colonized according to the agreement. Now, let's take a look at these two countries and see where they're located on the continent, but more importantly, to understand why they weren't colonized. All right, so let's take a look. Now, the first country we're going to look at is in West Africa, which is Liberia, right? So Liberia is in West Africa. It's a small country, just a few million people, and this country is very old, and also the first country in West Africa to have a female president in the person of Elena Sirleaf, who was in power for a long time. Now, Liberia was founded in 1821 by the United States. Very interesting, by the United States, right? Because they were looking for a place to return the African slaves, the enslaved Africans. And guess what? They found Liberia, right? And that was in 1821. And in 1821, they started shipping freed enslaved Africans to this country that they just founded in West Africa, known as Liberia. Now, if you take a look at the name Liberia, liberation, essentially, right? Liberation. And this was the time of President Monroe. And that's why the capital of the country is called Monrovia, right? So the capital of the country is Monrovia, right? Monrovia. So the capital of the country is Monrovia, right? Named after the president at the time of the United States. And this is very interesting as well. So the United States founded this country and then shipped the freed enslaved Africans to this country, and so that they can begin a new life, etc. And that's how Liberia was founded. And then the country became a fully independent, sovereign country. No foreign power attempted to colonize it. It has not been colonized. It's a very American country, so to speak, in terms of even the flag. It mimics American flag. The name of the currency is dollar. The name of the capital is Monrovia, after the United States President James Monroe, who was in office from 1817 to 1825, essentially 2 terms. And it has really told the line in terms of foreign policy, in line with American policy, essentially. So you have the freed enslaved Africans there, and you also have native Liberians as well, right? And this makes for a very interesting mix in this country. You have, again, the freed descendants of the freed enslaved Africans, and then you have the indigenous Liberians who were there before the United States came and founded it. Now you can make the argument, how can you find a place that was already inhabited? But again, according to history, it was founded by the United States in 1821. And it became a sovereign nation in 1847. And Liberia has been around for a very long time, obviously, right? It's looking at almost 200 years of independence in 2047. And this is very significant. So Liberia is the only country not colonized in West Africa, and one of 2 countries not colonized on the continent of Africa out of 54 countries. All right, so that's Liberia. Now, the second country that was not colonized is Ethiopia. And Ethiopia is right here. And so let's take a look at Ethiopia. So Ethiopia is the second largest country in terms of population on the continent. Population is well over 100 million. Ethiopia had a very protracted civil war that led to the independence of Eritrea. And Eritrea is right here. Eritrea is right here, right on the Red Sea, and they're close to Somalia. And so Ethiopia has been around for a long time. It's a very old country. It's a biblical country. The Ethiopia eunuch is in the Bible. It's a biblical country, very old culture, very, very storied country. Ethiopia was never colonized as well, but there was an attempt to colonize it, right? So Italy attempted to colonize this country. Italy, right, wanted to annex, right? So again, Italy did not want to colonize, really. It wanted to annex the country. It wanted Ethiopia to be part of Italy, right? Other countries will come and colonize and go, but Italy wanted Ethiopia to be part of its territory, an extension of its territory. And Ethiopians fought very hard against this. So the Italians occupied, right? So let's put that here. They occupied Ethiopia, but they never, right? They never colonized the country. As a matter of fact, the Ethiopians, while the Italians were there, the Ethiopians were fighting tooth and nail to expel this foreign power that has come to invade their country. So Ethiopia was never colonized. Ethiopia was occupied, but was never colonized. And this country today is, again, it's a very old country in terms of culture. Culture has been around for ages, centuries. One of the countries on the continent that has a flourishing aviation industry, Ethiopian Airlines, and very, very efficiently run airlines, and a country that is very respected in international arena. Although it has had some challenges in terms of civil strife, but nevertheless a very old country. So these were the two countries that were never colonized in Africa. Liberia here, founded in 1821, gained full independence in 1847, sovereignty 1847, and Ethiopia here, which was occupied by the Italians, right? Italians occupied this country. Italians wanted to annex the country, but Ethiopians said, no, you can't do that. No annexation. And they fought against this country. So these were the two countries that were never colonized in Africa out of 54 countries.